Welcome to the Tech Ed Podcast, where we visit with leaders who are shaping, innovating, and disrupting technical education. People who are not afraid to think differently, not afraid to try something new, all with the goal of securing the American dream for the next generation of STEM and workforce talent. Welcome into the Tech Ed Podcast, where we are indeed securing the American dream for the next generation of STEM and workforce talent. When we think about those words, American and dream, it is almost impossible for me to separate the idea of America from the idea of competition. There is just absolutely something about striving to be better, to be more efficient, to be more precise, to be faster, smarter, that is quintessentially American. The truth of the matter is that while we think of competition in its athletic form or its economic form, there is also a academic form of competition. And it can be a huge incentive for young people in getting them to learn all kinds of new technologies. That is what we are going to talk all about today with Chelle Travis. Chelle is the Executive Director of SkillsUSA, an organization known, I'm sure, to many, many of our listeners. Chelle, thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So tell us briefly about SkillsUSA. What is the mission of your organization? How does it carry out that mission?
Okay. So at SkillsUSA, we are a partnership of students and teachers in industry really working together to ensure that America has a skilled workforce. We serve students and teachers in over 130 different skilled trade areas in middle schools, high schools, and colleges nationwide in all 50 states, 2 territories, and right here in DC. Actually, more than 14 million since our founding in 1965. And our mission is to empower our members to become world-class workers, leaders, and responsible American citizens. And the way we do that is we create a career-ready pipeline through the development of SkillsUSA framework of personal, workplace, and technical skills that are truly grounded in academics. And that framework is made up of 17 essential elements that our industry partners have said that we need in our workplace today, but many of their employees are lacking. And it's integrated into every program, into everything that we do, including those competitions that really skill Olympics that you were talking about. It empowers our students to achieve career success and ensures that our students receive consistent and specific skills that our industry partners tell us that we need. And we are truly working to change the perception of the career opportunities that are available in the skilled trades, both that of our students, their peers, their realms of influence, their families, by really elevating those opportunities, making our students aware, and celebrating the success of our competitors, like you talked about, through competition, and also through other recognition opportunities, through leadership opportunities, community service, and through our storytelling that we do in so many other ways. I think you can tell I'm a little passionate about the way that SkillsUSA truly does bring our students and our industry partners together and connecting them to something that is bigger than themselves.
Well, passion is something we are all about here at the Tech Ed Podcast, especially when it comes to inspiring that next generation toward amazing careers. And that is exactly what you're doing, Chelle. And I really appreciated some of the things I heard in that answer. I think the most impressive thing that you mentioned, 14 million students since your founding in 1965. We're going to look back on some of the changes in the organization since 1965, as we've seen technology change and as we've seen evolution toward things like Industry 4.0, really looking forward to getting into those discussions. But for starters, why is it important for those 14 million students to have a career in technology-based education?
You know, we talk about the skills gap in America, and these jobs that we are training students for are truly in demand. Not only are they jobs, but they are careers for a lifetime for our students, and they will continue to be. The pandemic, to me, really made it clear to so many and opened the eyes of so many about how valuable skilled trades really are to our nation and how they truly do keep our nation moving forward. There are so many opportunities for our students to actually not only develop these skills, but actually to have a career in something that they are truly passionate about and is valuable to our society as a whole. We help our students through technical education to develop those high tech skills that will set them up for career success throughout their lives. And often with little to no college debt for those who do pursue college education as well. And students have a clear career focus than their peers that aren't members of SkillsUSA. We've seen that through our research. We just actually completed a research profile with a consortium on CTE pathways, or career and technical education pathways data from 2021. And it reported that 90% of SkillsUSA members in high school say that their career paths are clearer versus 74% of those that are not involved in a career and technical student organization or within SkillsUSA.
You talk about 90% of these students having more clarity on what their career options are. That's really, really important. And I also like the fact that you mentioned, look, these are, I say it's an and, not an or. So we can go direct to workforce and have an option to go to technical college. We can go to technical college and have an option to go to a four-year university. And we don't necessarily have to choose that right out of high school. We have all these options available to us, and I know your organization is really busy sharing those options and alternatives with their students and with your members. So like we say, that is an and not an or. Thinking about this whole and not or concept, I think a lot of times people take things like career technical education and STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and separate them. And I think in the brains of many, these are separate pathways, separate endeavors that a student is either going to pick a STEM career pathway or pick a CTE pathway. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think that these are inextricably linked, and I love programs where I see students who are the traditional STEM students, or maybe a computer science or a data science interested, or a computer programming interested student right next to that student that's learning electromechanical technology, or learning welding, or learning CNC machining, or some of these advanced technologies like robotics and drones that we'll talk about in a little bit. So to me, CTE and STEM are an and, not an or. At SkillsUSA, you like to say that CTE is actually a catalyst for STEM. Tell us, in your view, the relationship between CTE and STEM, Chelle, and why CTE education prepares students for STEM fields.
We actually like to say that not only is it a catalyst, but that SkillsUSA is STEM, and that CTE is STEM. A huge STEM component is in so many of the in-demand fields that we prepare students for today. The jobs require a grasp of technology that complements the hands-on skills too that we teach our students that are ingrained in our classrooms. There's a high level of technology involved in things like automotive repair and the math skills that are needed for carpentry and machining, and so many of those things that you mentioned, and science skills that are involved in culinary arts and medical assisting. And that list just goes on and on and on of the math skills, the technical skills, and the science skills that are so important to our students today. And we find out that many of our students in the programs, they use those as a basis for engineering as well in those opportunities. More than 75 of our 108 career competitions in SkillsUSA are STEM focused or STEM related. And many of those others are actually in those areas of those workforce skills, those leadership, those work ethic, those other pieces that are so important to our industry today. I think it's really evident to see how much STEM is actually CTE and CTE is STEM.
And so, go ahead. In so many different ways, they're inextricably linked. I absolutely and 100% agree. You mentioned, as we talk about some of these stories, you talk about students that may go on to a career in the culinary fields as a carpenter. We talked about a welder, a CNC machinist, robot operator, robot programmer. Do you have a few examples or more examples of the types of career pathways that your members follow as they're going or after they complete their Skills USA journey? And then is there a particular story, a specific example you'd love to share with our audience?
Absolutely. Skills USA has so many inspiring success stories in so many skilled areas that it's so hard to choose just one. It's like choosing one of your children. Do I choose CNC? Do I choose welding? Do I choose cosmetology, culinary arts? Do I choose welding or mobile robotics? What is it? Everything in between. We represent, I think I mentioned this before, 130 different occupational areas, from 3D animation to welding and everything in between. So there's a huge variety of possibilities for our students as far as specific career paths that they choose to take. I'll share with you a few examples. One student that comes to mind in the area of STEM is Dylan Lombach, who's pursuing her degree actually in mechanical engineering at Oklahoma State University. She discovered a love for that trade when she was visiting her local tech center as a high school freshman. She was interested in the engineering program, but she fell in love with the precision machining class, which of course ties directly to engineering. Dylan was the only girl in the class, and she encountered some issues with that early on. She had some trouble fitting in and feeling accepted. And this is a really great example of how Skills USA develops the entire student and not just their technical skills. Everything that we do starts with what we call our Skills USA framework. And that's made up of 3 equal components that I've talked about: those personal skills, workplace skills, and technical skills that are grounded in academics. And Dylan was learning the technical skills, but if everything had stopped there, she may not have even continued in the program because of the lack of confidence she was feeling was actually affecting how she viewed the trade. And her instructor, Wesley Hess, was also the Skills USA advisor, and his entire class began developing those skills together, those other skills that really set them up, not just for career success, but for life success. And Dylan learned how to communicate. She learned how to resolve conflict and problem solve. She learned how to work as part of a team, and she developed a sense of confidence. Even better, her fellow classmates were learning those same skills as well. So it didn't take long for that to become a place where everyone was accepted, and they accepted each other equally as fellow students who shared a love for a specific trade. And I think that's one unique thing about Skills USA, is really helping students find their place to belong as well. So she became not only a highly skilled precision machinist, but a great leader, and she eventually became a state officer for Skills USA Oklahoma. And she's now working toward a degree in a field that she loves. She has real-world experience in a machine shop, and her technical and leadership skills that she gained through Skills USA gave her a huge leg up on her peers. Not only that, but she's really excelled in a non-traditional field, and we're seeing so much more of that in Skills USA. So I think that is just one example.
Boy, what a fantastic story that is. And when we talk about, STEM and CTE being an and not an or, I mean, this is exactly what we talk about. This is an individual who got inspired, probably was a hands-on learner, probably liked learning by doing. That's how you find your way into something like precision machining. And she followed that passion. She had a mentor in the form of that teacher that showed her that it was okay to be a female in a primarily, or at least a historically, male field, which is fantastic. She had somebody to help her build that confidence, be comfortable in an environment that she wasn't accustomed to, and yeah, become a machinist, and which is a phenomenal career, by the way, for somebody. And here's somebody who said, hey, I can use that and parlay that into a engineering, in this case, a mechanical engineering pathway as well. It's just a perfect example of exactly the kinds of people we love to highlight here on the Tech Ed podcast. So that was one example, and please go on.
Absolutely. Well, I've got so many, and so you can stop me at any time. So
2 or 3 is probably perfect.
Okay, I'll give you 3. I'll give you 3 in a different variety because I do love. I think students tell our story really the best. And student stories are really how we connect not only to other students, but also their parents and counselors. And just really, they are our voice and so important. I think another great example of that non-traditional success as well is Ashton White from North Carolina. Ashton was actually the first woman to win back-to-back gold medals, talking about competition in our national masonry career competition at the college post-secondary level. And masonry as a career wasn't even on her radar until she joined SkillsUSA as a sophomore in high school. And she fell in love with that skill. And so we talked about those skills that Dylan developed, and it also helped her develop some of those exact same personal and workplace skills, so much so that she became the total package of skills, and it landed her some of the top internships with companies like Gates Construction. And she's now working toward her bachelor's degree in construction management at the University of North Carolina. She's also a social media influencer who goes by the name of That Masonry Girl. She's already got some amazing job opportunities lined up after graduation, and all of that because she joined SkillsUSA and was introduced to something she had not even considered before, but that truly changed her life. And again, not just from a career perspective, but definitely that, but from a personal perspective as well, because she has the opportunity to pursue a career that she's truly passionate about, and now share it with others.
Love that story. I mean, who even thinks in some cases of masonry, being a career pathway? Of course, it's important. Of course, people need to learn to perform that kind of work, and we all benefit from it, day in and day out. But here's somebody who is inspired toward a career they weren't even aware of. So another fantastic example. And you promised us 3. We're looking forward to the third one.
Okay, I'll give you one more. Justin Jackson and Marquis Thomas, who joined SkillsUSA robotics program in a school in New Jersey, where 85% of the students qualified for free or reduced lunch. And so there were a lot of unique challenges that they faced there. Both Justin and Marquis said that their only goal in school until they joined was just to pass. That was all that they wanted to do before they joined that robotics program. But again, their instructor and their SkillsUSA advisor, Robert Lorenzo, taught them not just about robotics, but also how to develop themselves personally and to build up their confidence. And that both students ended up saying that their experience changed their entire outlook on education, so that they developed a full passion for robotics, as well as a commitment to live up to their full potential, not to just barely get by. But both of their GPAs went up a full point in the program, and they were the first students in their state to actually compete nationally in the robotics urban search and rescue competition at our SkillsUSA Championships. We wrote not long ago, so if you'd like to check it out, we have a SkillsUSA Champions Hub, a digital hub where we tell a lot of stories about our students, and we wrote an article on them recently as they were about to graduate from high school, with both plans on looking toward engineering as a future career. Just another example of how SkillsUSA and technical education combined really can change the trajectory and career opportunities that are available for their students.
And we will be sure to link that Champions Hub up in the show notes for our listeners who are interested in hearing more of these stories. I mean, you can't just help but hear the excitement in your voice and the pride in your voice, Chelle, just thinking about and reflecting on all of these incredible young lives that you've been able to reach and affect and change. We've used the trajectory word at least once, I think, already. We'll use it again before the day is out. But putting these young people on these amazing career trajectories they never would have had. In this case, these 2 individuals who found a career, again, through a great mentor in the form of their teacher, toward the field of robotics. And what I love about those examples is they weren't generic examples. I mean, we know these are real examples of real people whose lives have been fundamentally changed by the work that you and SkillsUSA are doing. And that to me is just really, really exciting and refreshing. I love your energy. I love your passion. It's so clear in the work that you're doing and the way that you talk about it. I want our audience to learn just a little bit more about you. We talked about the importance of leadership and that being one of the key workforce or workplace traits or skills that your individuals, that your students and members are learning. So let's talk about leadership. Let's talk about where your organization is going. Now, you're the fourth ever Executive Director of SkillsUSA. What do you want your leadership to be defined by? If we're sitting here 10, 15 years from now, looking back on what you were able to do, how do you want us to be talking about that?
Well, I truly hope that in the end, when we were talking about some things that we have really seen over the last few years, is evolution and engagement, and that we are not only continuing to keep up with the changes in industry, but we're continuing to engage our partners and our stakeholders to ensure that is possible. The way we have lived and worked over the last 3 years have definitely changed just since I entered in almost immediately after I entered into this office, and really want to ensure that we not only preserve those things that we value, right, but we are continuing to accelerate our students' experience and not only engage and reach more numbers, but also engage and reach more deeply. And what do I mean by that? Because I truly do think that a SkillsUSA experience, when in the classroom and implemented appropriately, can truly change lives, as you've just heard me talk to before. So I hope that the way that we see that it evolves and grows during my leadership is that SkillsUSA is no longer, we use the term, we do this in technical education too, I think from time to time, but SkillsUSA in technical education is no longer the best kept secret, that we are more so not only in the industries that we serve and serve well, but more of a household name. And that truly technical skills, again, are careers of choice, and they're seen as that, and they're valued, that we value, you talked about competition, that we value our welding competitor and champion, and our champion in culinary arts, just as much as we value that champion in football, or that champion in any other sport that we have those long developed competitions in as well. I hope that we continue to help our students develop their occupational identity and grow as workers and as leaders and as responsible citizens as well, that we are truly focused on not in just saying that we connect our students to industry and that we are truly a partnership, but that we continue to grow and also to increase that collaboration and bring more industries into our fold, and to actually have more opportunities for collaboration, and really that at the end of the day, that we are, not only do we produce champions, but we are the champion of skilled trades when it comes to elevating and recognizing students, that all states will celebrate and value technical education and the skilled trades. And again, that we are that household name when you think of technical workplace and personal skills and excellence that drives, and that we do see truly that partnership and bringing together of those business and industry, those educators and legislators, and that we are rowing in that same direction to ensure that our nation has a skilled workforce. So I want us to continue to evolve as the industry evolves, and for us to come along with it.
It will be absolutely important that evolution continues. So many different topics and concepts packed into that last answer. I mean, the two words that come to me are kind of broader and deeper, right? So broader in the sense that while you've already reached 14 million people since your inception in 1965, continuing to broaden the number of students and the number of individuals that you're reaching, really, really important. And then going deeper with them. You talked about leadership skills. You talked about career awareness. You talked about independence. You talked about making sure that they're career ready as they're moving through the process, as they're coming to whatever comes next for them. Really, really important work. You also touched on continuing to collaborate with business and with industry and with government and legislators and education. That's going to be really, really important in turning SkillsUSA into what some might argue is already a household name in many cases, but we'll continue to evolve toward that as the world of technical education evolves. And it's been evolving for a long time. I remember back in my day and in my high school days, it was shop, or, we thought we had evolved when we called it industrial arts. Of course, nobody calls it that anymore, or at least anybody who's informed calls it technical education. That is going to continue to evolve. But I want to look back for just a minute. We've mentioned this founding in 1965, Chelle. So your organization has been around quite a number of years. It used to be known as VICA. Some of our members may remember, or our listeners rather, may remember that name, the Vocational Industrial Clubs of America. The Vocational Industrial Clubs of America was VICA. So it's in as much as technology is changing, we're touching on, and we'll continue to talk about drones and robotics and automation and smart technology and Industry 4.0. There's some things that don't change, I think, in the world of technical education and in the world in general. So if we think about what hasn't changed since 1965 in terms of workplace and workforce skills, what have remained the same since the beginning?
So for SkillsUSA, we have always believed in the dignity of work, and we have since we were founded. We promote that dignity with everything that we do. The notion that we are here to help the whole person is not new. The hands-on technical skills are a big part of that, but those personal and those workplace skills are just as important. And I think that is something that has been with SkillsUSA since the beginning. Now, how we have implemented that may have evolved over time, but really looking at whole person with the hands-on technical skills, but also those personal and workplace skills. The pride in our nation and the strength and honor of that ingenuity and innovation of our country. I think those are very, very important pieces that have remained the same in SkillsUSA. The idea that we're lifelong learners, ready to not just adapt to new technology, but to lead the way in that as well. And our commitment to helping others, not just ourselves, to giving back to our communities through service. That has been something that we have instilled in our members since 1965.
So helping others, remaining lifelong learners, that pride in ingenuity and that pride in innovation here in the United States. And I think it's really important for our listeners to be reminded of that there's dignity in working with your hands, there's dignity in creating things. And it's really what built America in so many ways. No matter what our careers are today, we stand on the backs of the people that did those kind of jobs in the past, and we'll continue to do those kind of jobs in the future. As we turn these careers, as you put it a couple of times already, into careers of choice and not into careers of last resort. And that's exactly what they should be, even as technology continues to change. So let's focus a little bit more and dig a little bit deeper into that changing technology and how you deal with that. I mean, I think about 7 years ago when I moved over into education, nobody was talking about Industry 4.0. Nobody was talking about artificial intelligence or machine learning or augmented reality or mixed reality, all of these different technologies that are now ubiquitous in so many ways across the United States and around the globe. So as you sit at the helm of an organization like SkillsUSA and know that you have to continue to evolve as technology evolves, tell us about that process. How do you pick what types of technologies, what career clusters, if you will, should be included in the types of competitions that you're running?
Absolutely. Well, truly, again, we go back to that partnership and that collaboration. We listen and talk to our industry partners on specifically how industry needs to shape our curriculum, what they are looking for in that entry-level employee, and they really drive that. They drive that not only in our curriculum, but in our competition standards that really do set that gold standard for our classrooms and for those competitions that we not only have at the local level, but at the regional, state, and national level as well. And having that industry involvement ensures that we're always producing the graduates with the skills that our industry needs the most. So really and truly, it's that industry partnership, and it is, they are what drive what we do within our competitions. Our competitions are run by industry experts. So they're developed, industry experts develop, run, and set those standards for our competitions. So they really do push what the industry needs are, and those changes in technology that they need to see, which is so essential, because if it is in our competition as the gold standard for that area, then it drives that competition. We know that our students are getting that instruction in the classroom, and then it drives that outcome that we see in the workforce. And then, that is truly, in many cases, as you were talking about, that lifeblood of a community, those makers and fixers that are within the communities and are so essential to the way we live and work.
The makers and the fixers are absolutely essential to the way that we live and work. No question about it. I want to talk more about the technologies themselves. So with regard to some of those new technologies, we've talked about Industry 4.0 a couple times already. It's just amazing how the world of manufacturing, where I spent most of my career, is evolving toward automation, towards smart sensors and smart devices, data analytics, and especially robotics and automation. I was recently at PEC Expo, which is the big trade show that is run for people in the packaging industry, and the automation applications there, absolutely, they just blew me away. They had to be seen to be believed. It was at McCormick in Chicago. It took me about 7 hours to walk the whole floor. Every time I turned around, there was another robot, another actuator, another conveyor, another camera that was doing things that 10 years ago we would have thought unimaginable. So I want to talk now about the robotics side of that. I saw plenty of robots there. Several state competitions for SkillsUSA, including, I'll note specifically Ohio and Wisconsin, but I know there are several others, are offering FANUC industrial robotics competitions at the state level. But FANUC robots make up more than half of the industrial robots in the world of industry today. So it's really important, I think, for folks to be learning on and competing on industrially relevant competition. Tell us about the value of having the leading industrial brand as the platform for your robotics competition, Chelle.
Well, it's so important both to our students and also to our instructors and our future students and our competitions at large. You said something that I think is really important, is the relevancy. We have to not only demonstrate and produce competitions on the technologies that are used in the workforce today, but we have to be able to teach on those too. And so through partnering in ways like with FANUC, that can not only demonstrate to our instructors, but also those students, the importance of learning in that environment and on that equipment. And as you mentioned, is in over half of all the industrial robots. If students receive their training and they are prepared on robots as they are used in the workplace, we are preparing our students to be ready to enter the workforce. And that is what we are interested in ensuring that we do. And in partnering with people like FANUC, not only does it give them the opportunity to showcase the skills that are necessary in that relevant piece of equipment as well, but it gives them an opportunity also to connect directly with our students and to hear their voices and to see them at work, which I think is just as rewarding on the business partner side as it is as getting that employee on the back end that is well prepared. So it is imperative. We could not run our competitions. We could not impact students' lives in the ways that we are able to do without all of our industry partners and volunteers from those partners. And so it is so important that they continue to push us and to push education, right? By seeing those demonstrations and the thousands of instructors that come, they not only are able to learn and see as well, but they actually are able to impact future students as well.
There's nothing I like better almost than watching a young person's eyes light up when they walk into a manufacturing plant, for example, and they lay eyes on the same type of robot, the same control, the same teach pendant that they're using in their very own high school classroom. And then, and when we talk about
confidence,
it does. Well, the confidence in making that connection. So it's, it's understanding, hey, I see that robot. I know how to program that robot. There is a job for me in a place like advanced manufacturing and automation and robotics. That is just an awesome way to inspire young people toward really, really cool careers, is to do it on industrially relevant technology. Now, maybe a little bit easier to do in the world of robotics, where we've got, FANUC is such a huge market leader. We're also seeing competitions in things like drones. And I know many states are adding the drones competition rather within their SkillsUSA platforms. And those competitions will be supported by platforms like Mind's Eye, which is just one example, a great drones company out on the West Coast. So why are drones so popular? I mean, everybody's excited. Everybody's talking about drones. And how does SkillsUSA ensure that drones competition challenges aren't just, how do I race a drone or be the best person at being able to operate that drone around an indoor cage, and making sure that those learning opportunities are about more than that?
Absolutely. Drones are such a unique opportunity and interesting to our students. They are one, I think it really is one way of not only attracting students to technical careers in a way that they see as relevant for them, but also introducing them to opportunities that they didn't know existed, other than maybe driving a drone around and something to do in your backyard. But all of the opportunities through transportation, distribution, and logistics, to rescues, to those things that are so relevant within our workforce. And the way we do that is, at SkillsUSA, we are about preparing our students for those future careers. So creating that awareness, but then making sure that what we do is in preparation for those future opportunities. And it is continuing to stay in contact with our various industry partners where drones play a very important role, and making sure that we are listening to them and to how they are changing the way that we live and work. And so that the way that we are not only teaching, but our standards as well that we develop are also preparing our students for that changing environment as well.
She is Chelle Travis, the Executive Director of SkillsUSA, joining us today on the Tech Ed Podcast. We've talked, Chelle, about all the benefits to students, all the benefits to communities of involvement in SkillsUSA. If I'm a teacher, if I'm a CTE coordinator, if I'm a principal, if I'm a superintendent, why should schools get involved in skills? If our educators in the audience are interested in getting involved, what does that process look like for the school, for the instructors, and for the students?
So I really do truly think that it is the best opportunity both for your students and for your advisors, for your instructors, your classroom instructors. I've seen good instructors become great instructors through this program. I've seen students develop. And so again, just talking about the opportunities and the changing of a student's life for the better, both with their career opportunities and awareness, but also those personal skills and workplace skills as well. SkillsUSA is not about just being an extracurricular activity, but it's something that is actually integrated into the classroom, or what is called intracurricular. It gets industry involved in your program to ensure that you're teaching the right skills, and in a very unique way to make sure that your classrooms, your technical classrooms and programs are remaining relevant to what is needed in the workforce today. There are many opportunities for your instructors or as an instructor to gain professional development and also network with others from around the country. We grow not only our students, but also ourselves as instructors and educators as part of SkillsUSA. And I think there's no other place that is a more rewarding opportunity as an educator to really get to see your students. There's nothing like being on that stage of 6,500 competitors and seeing them in all the various skilled trades, and then having your students actually participate in that is such a great feeling as well. To get involved, I would encourage you to contact our customer care team, and that is at 844-875-4557, or you can visit our website for more information on becoming a member or starting a chapter at skillsusa.org.
By the way, the contact information that Chelle just shared with the audience, we'll link those up in the show notes as well. So if you didn't get that down during the answer, just go there and you will find out exactly if you are a student, if you're a educator, either an instructor or a school administrator, how to get involved with SkillsUSA. I know our industrial employers are having the same thoughts. So if we have businesses, if we have industrial employers, if we have individuals working in a business that want to get involved, how do they go about supporting their local program?
So you can contact our national office through the numbers that I just mentioned before, and also our website. Our website has a direct way to contact your state SkillsUSA Association director for opportunities in your local area and how to get involved. Every state has a state director. Every state and territory, as well as DC, has a state director, and their information is located on our website. And there are so many ways to get involved: as a guest speaker at a school, donating materials, judging for our competitions, sponsoring a community service project, serving on a technical committee, providing internships, mentoring opportunities, and the list just goes on and on and on. But I think through SkillsUSA and volunteering through SkillsUSA, you will find that you get just as much out of it as you put in. That is so rewarding to see those impacts. And through SkillsUSA, you also gain access to a verified talent pipeline for your company and students who have all of those skills that I've talked about before, those personal, workplace, and technical skills that every company needs.
You know, to draw another parallel to our community and technical colleges, a lot of times employers will ask me, you know, why are we having such a hard time recruiting from the technical college? And my question is, are you serving on the advisory board? And if the answer is no, my answer is, well, that's the reason, because the people who are and are engaged with the college are the ones that are getting their hands on the talent as it's graduating and coming into the workforce. Same thing is true as I'm hearing for folks that want access to these amazing students that you're creating through SkillsUSA. How do we get access to this talent? Volunteer for the organization, become involved, get a chance to meet them, see them doing the incredible skills, and showing the incredible competencies that they're gaining through the program. And that is how we engage with these students. And that is how we find ways to connect with them before they're looking to get into the workforce, so that we are on their radar. So great examples there. Chelle, you mentioned the website, you mentioned the phone number. Are those the two best ways for our audience to get in touch as well, or are there other ways they should reach out?
Well, you can also learn more, if you'd like to learn more, through our social media. You can visit us on any of our social media channels, as well as our YouTube channel for informative videos where you can learn more about SkillsUSA and you can actually see our students in action. I think there's nothing like seeing them in person, demonstrating their hands-on skills, but you also can get some more information through those venues as well. So
plenty of ways to engage. One last question for our guest, Chelle Travis, as we wrap up our time with the Executive Director of SkillsUSA. It's the same question we ask every single guest here on the Tech Ed Podcast, Chelle, and that is, if you could give one piece of advice to a high school sophomore, what would that piece of advice be?
Oh, to join SkillsUSA.
I had a feeling that might be it. That might be the briefest answer we've ever had, and the most concise and the most perfect. So absolutely, that piece of advice, join SkillsUSA. We've heard about all the great benefits it brings, not just to students, but to communities, but to educators, industrial employers, really across the board, the great work you're doing. I want to thank you first for being a guest on the podcast, but most importantly for all of that effort you're putting forth, Chelle, in the name of securing the American dream for the next generation, which is exactly what we do here. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Tech Ed Podcast. If you haven't already, subscribe, leave a review, and if you like this episode, share it with a friend. New episodes launch every Tuesday, so listen in next week.